What happens when the person you trust to keep you safe is the very one you should have feared the most? For Emily Carter, she realized this horrifying truth too late. This is the tragic case of a young woman whose bright future was stolen by someone she once called a friend. Before September 20th, 2018, Emily Carter was full of life. Born on September 10th, 1998, she was a source of joy to her parents and a role model to her younger siblings. Her mother described her as a light in the darkness, while her sister called her the most caring, vibrant soul you could ever meet. Emily had always dreamed of becoming a teacher and had worked hard to earn her degree. In fact, the day she lost her life, she was scheduled for an interview as a teaching assistant, a step closer to achieving her lifelong dream. But that promising future was brutally cut short by someone she had known since childhood, Ryan Mitchell. Ryan and Emily had grown up together in Madison, Indiana, attending the same elementary school. Though they weren't best friends, they had remained in touch over the years. Their long history was why Emily didn't hesitate to invite Ryan to celebrate her 20th birthday. That night, Emily, her best friend Samantha Pierce, and Ryan attended a concert at the Victory Theater in Evansville. Emily was ecstatic. Just 2 days earlier, she had tweeted, "The only thing keeping me going is seeing Jackson Gray on Thursday. Maybe he'll see me and we'll get married." After the concert, the group headed to a nightclub in downtown Evansville, where they partied until 2:45 a.m. At that point, they grabbed a cab and headed back to Madison. The ride was filled with laughter, with Emily still buzzing from the incredible night. When they arrived in Madison, Emily's house was only a short walk away from where they were dropped off. Samantha, concerned about Emily's safety, invited her to stay the night at her place instead. But Emily declined. "I've got Ryan. He'll walk me back. It'll be fine," she assured her friend. That was the last time Samantha saw Emily alive. The next morning, Emily never made it to her job interview. Her phone went straight to voicemail, and her family and friends grew increasingly worried. By 5:30 p.m., her father, Michael Carter, officially reported her missing. When investigators began retracing Emily's steps, they quickly learned that Ryan Mitchell was the last person to see her. They brought him in for questioning. Ryan, 20 years old, claimed that he had walked Emily home but had parted ways with her near a gas station just 2 blocks from his house. According to him, Emily had insisted that she could walk the rest of the way alone. The police asked him to take them to the exact spot where he had last seen Emily. He pointed to a street corner and even walked them through the route they had taken. His cooperation seemed genuine, so authorities initially had no reason to detain him. But just a few hours later, Emily's uncle, David Carter, made a heartbreaking discovery. At 9:15 p.m., while helping in the search effort, he stumbled upon something horrifying in a small pond at Heritage Park, just a mile from Emily's home. It was Emily's lifeless body, partially submerged in the water. Her clothes had been removed, and her body showed signs of bruising and strangulation marks on her neck. It was clear that she had fought desperately for her life. The discovery changed everything. The moment Emily's body was found, authorities immediately turned their attention back to Ryan Mitchell. He was arrested that night and brought back to the station. During the interrogation, Ryan seemed agitated and defensive, insisting that he had nothing to do with Emily's death. "I don't understand why you're taking my phone," he said to the officers. "Now it feels like you're blaming me." The officer responded calmly, "We're just following protocol. You're the last person who saw Emily, and we need to look at every possibility." Ryan continued, "When you told me earlier that I just needed to answer a few questions and I could go help look for Emily, I was ready to do that. And now I'm sitting here in the back of a police car. This isn't fair." At first, the detectives had no hard evidence linking Ryan to the crime. But as they dug deeper, inconsistencies in his story began to surface. The security camera footage from the gas station, the place where Ryan had claimed he last saw Emily, showed no sign of them ever being there. There was no footage of Emily walking past, nor was there any evidence of Ryan dropping her off. Something wasn't adding up. As investigators pressed harder, Ryan's demeanor began to shift. The once calm and cooperative friend started showing signs of nervousness. His phone activity was another red flag. He had deleted several messages and call logs from the night Emily disappeared. Then came the forensic evidence. Authorities recovered mud-stained sneakers from Ryan's home, and the tread pattern matched footprints found near the pond where Emily was discovered. The truth was beginning to unravel. Emily Carter had trusted Ryan Mitchell, a friend since childhood. She had believed he would walk her home safely. Instead, he led her to her death. But the question remained, why? As the investigation continued, chilling details about Ryan's true nature began to emerge. Details that would leave everyone shocked. What do you think so far? Do you believe Ryan planned this attack? Or was it a crime of opportunity? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. As investigators continued pressing Ryan Mitchell about the last time he saw Emily Carter, his story remained the same. He insisted that he had left her near the gas station, saying she was fine and had wanted to walk the rest of the way alone. But detectives weren't convinced. They had already begun analyzing Ryan's cell phone records and GPS data, and what they found completely contradicted his version of events. Ryan claimed that he had gone home immediately after leaving Emily, but his phone's location data told a different story. His device had pinged 7 times near Heritage Park, the exact place where Emily's body was later found. And that wasn't all. The security cameras at a nearby gas station, where he claimed he last saw Emily, never captured footage of her walking past. In fact, the camera didn't record her at all that night. Then came another major piece of evidence. The surveillance footage from a local community center near Heritage Park showed Ryan and Emily walking past much later than he had initially stated. He hadn't simply left her to walk home alone. He had taken her somewhere else. Despite these revelations, Ryan remained calm, as though he believed he could talk his way out of trouble. The officers sat him down and explained the situation carefully. "We're not just looking at what you told us," one detective said. "We're looking at the facts, your GPS history, CCTV footage, and now, the forensic evidence." Ryan froze when they mentioned forensic evidence. Authorities had recovered his jacket and bank card in Heritage Park, mere feet from where Emily's body had been found. And most damning of all, DNA evidence. The post-mortem examination of Emily revealed Ryan Mitchell's DNA on her body. At this point, the police had all the proof they needed. Ryan was charged with the sexual assault and murder of Emily Carter. At first, Ryan insisted on his innocence. He stuck to the same narrative. He had walked her home, she was happy, and he had nothing to do with her death. "She was fine when I left her," he kept repeating. 110% fine. But as the trial date approached, Ryan's story started to change. Now, he admitted that he and Emily had gone to the park together, but he insisted that her death had been an accident. During the trial, Ryan claimed that Emily had flirted with him as they walked, leading them to stop at the park. According to him, they began engaging in consensual sex, but things got out of control. He then made a shocking claim. He had accidentally strangled Emily during their encounter. "She was teasing me. She wanted it," Ryan told the court. "It just happened too fast." But the evidence said otherwise. For one, Emily's cause of death was not a simple strangulation. The forensic pathologist testified that Emily had sustained defensive wounds, scratches and bruises on her arms, face, and neck. This wasn't the result of rough but consensual sex. Emily had fought for her life. Additionally, the prosecution pointed out that Ryan had attempted to cover up the crime. He left Emily's body partially submerged in water to wash away evidence. He returned to the crime scene 7 times before the body was found, something an innocent person wouldn't need to do. He deleted key messages and calls from his phone. Clearly, this was not an accident. The courtroom was silent as the details of the crime were presented. Emily's family sat in tears, horrified by the false excuses Ryan had tried to use to justify his actions. The jury saw right through Ryan's lies. If Emily's death had been an accident, why hadn't he called for help? Why had he lied to the police multiple times before being confronted with evidence? And most importantly, why had he returned to the crime scene so many times? Ryan Mitchell wasn't panicking when he was arrested. He had been planning his cover-up. He never expected to be caught. But now, with DNA, surveillance footage, GPS data, and forensic evidence stacked against him, his fate seemed sealed. What do you think? Do you believe Ryan's accident defense, or was this a planned murder? Let us know in the comments below. As the trial continued, Ryan Mitchell's story became increasingly inconsistent. At first, he had insisted that Emily Carter was simply a childhood friend, that they had never had any romantic involvement. But as investigators uncovered more evidence, his story shifted. He now claimed they had engaged in consensual sex before he accidentally strangled her. The prosecution, however, wasn't buying it. Ryan's GPS data showed that he had returned to the crime scene multiple times after the murder. He claimed this was because he was panicked, unsure of what to do. "I didn't know how to act," he told police. "I was embarrassed and scared to explain what had happened." But that wasn't all. The evidence showed that Ryan had deliberately lured Emily to the park under the pretense of taking a shortcut on their way home. Once there, he assaulted her, placed her in a chokehold, and refused to let go, even as she desperately fought back. The medical examiner testified that Emily's injuries weren't consistent with a momentary loss of control. They were the result of a sustained attack, one that would have taken minutes, not seconds. It was clear this wasn't an accident. This was murder. As news of Ryan's trial spread, something shocking happened. More women came forward. 3 of his past victims, who had previously stayed silent out of fear, now felt compelled to share their stories. In 2015, he had assaulted a 16-year-old girl. In 2017, his victim was just 15 years old. And just months before Emily's murder, he had attacked a 20-year-old woman. All 3 had remained silent, believing their cases wouldn't be taken seriously. But hearing about Emily's horrific death made them realize they couldn't stay quiet any longer. One survivor told the court, "I thought I would never get over it, but I had to fight the sickening thoughts that almost overwhelmed me." Another said, "After Ryan attacked me, I was too scared to tell anyone. I blamed myself. But after hearing about Emily, I knew I had to speak up." The third victim carried immense guilt. "I thought it was my fault because I went to his house. But when I heard about Emily, I realized the full force of what happened to me." Lead prosecutor Hannah Sway described Ryan's offenses as a clear pattern of predatory behavior. "This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment crime," she said. "This was a pattern of behavior over many years." Detective Cheryl Hannon, the senior investigating officer on the case, echoed those concerns. "People have this stereotypical image of a perpetrator, but Ryan was popular, well-liked, and charismatic. That's what made him so dangerous." It became clear that Ryan had built his entire reputation on being a good guy, someone no one would ever suspect of such horrific crimes. But his victims told a different story. He had been manipulative, controlling, and violent for years. And now, with Emily's case bringing his past to light, there was no way for him to hide. The weight of the evidence, Ryan's inconsistent statements, GPS data, DNA evidence, and prior assaults, made it almost impossible for the jury to believe his story. Still, Ryan maintained his innocence, claiming that everything had been a misunderstanding. The courtroom fell silent as the jury left to deliberate. The question remained, would they see Ryan for who he truly was? Or would he get away with murder? What do you think? Should Ryan's past assaults have been used as evidence against him? Or should they have remained separate from this case? Let us know in the comments below. In the end, Ryan Mitchell was the only person responsible for Emily Carter's tragic death. She trusted him to walk her home safely, yet he betrayed that trust in the most horrifying way possible. He manipulated the situation, lured her into isolation, and took advantage of her vulnerability. And after committing the unspeakable, he went even further, lying to the police, to Emily's family, and to the entire community about what really happened. But the truth caught up to him, a sentence that can never bring true justice. Ryan was sentenced to 30 years in prison without the possibility of parole. During the sentencing, the judge didn't hold back. "You took a beautiful young life just to satisfy your own selfish desires. Emily had her entire future ahead of her, and you stole it from her." Emily's mother, Debbie Carter, delivered a heartbreaking statement to the court. "The outcome of this trial will never be enough in terms of justice. Emily was the kindest, most caring, and innocent young woman you could ever meet. We will never be able to forgive him. Their grief is something that no punishment can erase." No sentence will ever bring Emily back, and no words can truly express the pain of losing a daughter, a sister, and a friend to senseless violence. Lessons from a tragedy. Trust isn't always safe. Emily's tragic fate is a stark reminder that we can never truly know who a person is behind closed doors. Ryan seemed like a regular guy, a friendly, trusted face in the community. But in reality, he was a predator in disguise, someone who had a history of attacking women long before he took Emily's life. This case should serve as a warning to always be aware of your surroundings, trust your instincts, and never ignore red flags, no matter how well you think you know someone. What do you think? Do you believe Ryan's sentence was harsh enough? Should past victims always be allowed to testify in cases like this? And how can we better protect ourselves and others from predators who hide behind a mask of trust? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this story informative and important, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps bring more cases like this to light, raising awareness, and keeping these victims' stories alive. We'll see you in the next video. Stay safe out there.